Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Nick.
And you're listening to It Takes Two, the podcast where two people take two movies with the same plot or premise and watch and discuss them.
And I've instantly forgotten.
Nick is practicing a very tiny amount of French to say the name of one of these movies.
Bonjour. We are covering 1976's Les Cage aux Folles and 1996's The Birdcage. How was my pronunciation?
Your pronunciation was alright. You got the year wrong, but that's okay.
What
it was
year
78, wasn't it? Not 76?
78, sorry, yes. 1973 is when the play came out. I was halfway in between.
Yeah.
This kind of rounds off our Pride Month episodes.
Yeah.
And this is very much, for me, a Hydrox versus Oreo situation.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the remake, the rip-off, well, it's not really a rip-off.
Yeah, it's an active remake.
An active remake. Oreos are a rip-off. Is far more known, far more available, and they are practically the same. I'm just going to refer to the French and the English from going forward. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them.
Yeah.
I've watched The Birdcage before. I hadn't seen the French one before. Beat by beat, they are a very, very tasteful... The Birdcage is a very tasteful remake, unlike a lot of remakes we have covered and will cover further on in this podcast, if you continue listening. When you continue listening. You have no choice. It's just really well done. The beats are the same. The actors were authentically portrayed the same way. It was thoroughly enjoyable. I feel like, and this is going to be controversial, I liked the French one.
Oh.
Better. I think it was because it's a very French story. It's very from that era. It's also very of the era, but it's also a timepiece. It's set in a time period in the remake, the English remake. But I feel like it was a very 70s to 80s era that both these movies are set in, and I feel like the French one, because it was made at the time, doesn't feel as stretched, almost.
It's so funny to me because the first note I took when we started watching The Birdcage was, this is so 90s.
Yeah, it does, eh?
Yeah, it's very 90s, and you're like, this 70s, 80s era that it's set in, it's like, no, it's like peak 90s Miami, I feel like.
Yes. But being the French one is set on the French Riviera, and it is a very product of the time that it was in.
Yeah.
Obviously, ultra-conservatives still exist in this day and age, and would probably also react the exact same way that Gene Hackman's character, and it is very, like, there's a lot of politics, both of the era and the time that both of these are set in, and it's very fun, and obviously it's very topical at the moment with what the conservatives are doing now in the United States, where they're saying that anybody who dresses in drag is a predator, while protecting actual predators from any form of justice, because they are by far the most dangerous people, and we're in a very weird geopolitical situation. But enough about that. Let's talk about the movies. Lisa.
Yes.
Was this the first time you'd seen the French one?
It is, and it was really interesting to watch it as someone who loves The Birdcage and has seen The Birdcage quite a few times.
Yeah.
To watch this French film and go, oh, this is a beat for beat remake.
Yeah.
This isn't, because The Birdcage feels so unique, and it's really well done. It doesn't feel like a rehash.
Yeah.
Whereas normally when you get a beat for beat remake, you get something like the Death at a Funeral remake, where like the whole movie feels off.
Yeah. Because
like they're trying so hard to match a different film but put it into a new context.
Yeah.
And this does put it into a new context but does it well.
Yeah.
And it I think the sad thing about it is that, you're saying is very much of the time and how people would have reacted in the 70s. That's still very much of the time and how people reacted in the 90s. And they tweaked it to be, American and to be a criticism of American politics at the time and, and make a statement while not really changing anything about the plot. Which is kind of fascinating. But I think, it's an incredible remake. And I spent, when we watched the Birdcage then afterwards, I spent the movie thinking, what is it that makes it work? Because obviously the French film is very good.
Yeah.
And, and I guess anyone remaking a good film can make a good film, but the Birdcage is...
They can, but most of the time they don't.
Yeah, most of the time they don't. Most of the time you miss the landing.
Yeah,
but the Birdcage is genuinely a standalone, really great film. And, I had said to you, the cast plays a huge part of that.
Yeah. Because
obviously, it's a massive ensemble cast that is just these huge players who are all bringing their all to it, even if you look at Callista Flockhart and Diane Wiest, how they're acting in it. But, obviously the big players are Nathan Lane and Robin Williams and Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman does a great job. But Nathan Lane and Robin Williams, and I think maybe overlooked, but really makes a difference in terms of updating the French film to this one, was Hank Azaria as Agador.
Yeah.
I feel like him as Agador is very different and very unique compared to Jacob, the character in the French film, for who there is some weird race stuff going on as well, because they are some wealthy white men with a black server or maid, and then he refers to the son when he arrives as Little White Master. Yeah. Which I was like, okay. And I mean, I guess they're making a commentary and it's, but it's I was like, oh, all right. I don't know enough about the politics of France at the time. There
are a lot of, because you made mention of this years ago.
Did I?
About your experiences growing up.
I thought all black people were French?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a genuine thing about my childhood. Was that I had only... I mean, I think a lot of places have become much more multicultural in the meantime, but in the 90s in Ireland, I had not encountered any people of
African descent.
People of African descent who were not French. So I did think that all black people were French.
Yeah.
So if I watched this in the 90s, I would be like, of course, he's French.
Yeah. That's where black people come from.
That's France. Where black people come from.
I think my other favourite French story out of you, and this is a little tidbit into your childhood, going into the woods with a bucket. It wasn't
into the woods, and it wasn't with a bucket, it was with a pot.
It was a pot. Going into the woods with a pot to get French fries from a Frenchman in the woods.
It wasn't in the woods. It was at a campsite in a big tent. That's my memory.
Just in the woods.
It wasn't in the woods. It was on a campsite. we were staying in a caravan. There were lots of caravans around.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the woods.
That's how you described it.
No, I have never described it as in the woods. You have just pictured it as in the woods in your head.
Just like Hansel and Gretel. No. Tiny Lisa with a cast iron pot.
Cat sweet, you will play.
Which is fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
I would just get, it was four chips, please. It could be 4 portions and I'd carry a big pot for him to put them in.
Yeah,
for the family.
Cast iron and your little later
cast
hosen.
iron. It was just like a regular. I was not in later hosen. I was in like Little Mermaid
your
jumpsuits. Your
parents are like, we've got too many kids. Go send one of them off into the woods with a pot.
They had 2 at that point. So no.
Too many. Anyway, other than that big difference, I feel like, that portrayal is fantastic. The character really remains the same key points wise.
They do roll Agador into the role of the doctor as well, because in the French film they get a doctor to come and see Albon,
drug him,
and convince him that he's okay to go on stage.
Yeah, if he tranquilizes left and opens the drawer and the entire thing is full.
Yeah, and then in the remake, there's no going to the doctor, but Agador is giving him something he calls Purine tablets, and when Armand is like, "What are you giving him, drugs?" He's like, "No, it's aspirin."
With the A.
I scratched off the S, and he was like, "You're a genius."
What's interesting is the key character in both these movies is the worst character in the English version, and I kind of feel like is forgivable in the French one.
The son?
But
I hated the son in the French one.
But they're both hateable in both the movies.
Yeah, it's really, really upsetting, because when you think about, like, in both movies, the mother knows about the guy that the father is with.
Yeah.
Right? But the mother hasn't spoken to any of them in 20 years.
Yeah.
Which means that they have been together for the child's whole life.
Yeah.
That he has been raised by these two men his whole life. And he calls one of them dad.
Yeah.
And the other by their name.
Yeah.
And when he wants to bring home this girl that he wants to marry at age 20 and she's 18, and her parents are conservative.
Ultra conservative.
Yeah. His immediate thing is, we'll have to send him away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't imagine that. That's horrible.
So, I think we've done one thing to dishonour to our listeners. We haven't actually explained the plot of the movie, other than what you've just said. So, the main characters own a nightclub.
Yeah.
That is a exclusively drag nightclub.
Yeah.
Renault or what's Armand, sorry. Are like the owner / sort of producer / keeping like the manager of the place, and his partner is the star.
Yeah.
For the stage.
Is Albon or Albert.
And they get thrown into this whole scenario because the leader of this organization that the ultra conservatives belong to has died.
Yeah, so in La Cage aux Folles, it is the
chairman.
Potential father-in-law is the Secretary General for the Union of Moral Order, and it's the president of the union who has passed away. And in the Birdcage, he is a senator who has formed an alliance called the Coalition for Moral Order. It's what they're called in that, and it's the leader of that party.
The way of death is very funny, horrible.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it is very much like.
I think it's funny that that they don't even change it.
Yeah.
That it's like, yes, the conservatives are afraid of the same thing now.
So he dies in a bed of a prostitute, and the prostitute is black and underaged, which is the toxic part about that whole scenario. But it really shows that their first response to this is, one, the ambassador to Greece, who's an arts ambassador, where the family keep changing it and making it's like a snowball effect, is not going to want to marry their daughter because of the shame that has been brought upon their family. No one talks about the fact that anything that, it's not... this is the bit that's very funny and makes it into, the modern zeitgeist of why this movies still hold up. No one talks about the person and his morals they're like trying to do a PR stunt to try and distance themselves away from it.
Yeah.
But no one goes, oh, I had no idea. I'm not going to go out and like make a press conference about the fact that I had no idea that he was morally bankrupt. Like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
It's literally, oh shit, the fucking Titanic is sinking. We're all going down. How do I, like, dress and drag and get into
Where do I
lifeboat?
get my lifeboat?
Yeah.
It's...
Where do I steal a child to get into a lifeboat to get myself away from this without dealing with the situation of like, oh, you're supposed to be the moral compass for the country, and you're like, oh, he died doing what he loved, sleeping with underage prostitutes.
Yeah.
How the fuck do I get out of Dodge on this one? And it's so funny to me that they're just like, oh yeah, cool, gotta find out a way to get out of it. Not like deal with the situation. I do love that
in both movies, because it feels like a ridiculous thing, but it works in both. That like when the press are up at the guy's house, like waiting for him to come out, he gets a ladder around the back and comes in and out of his house through a ladder into the back of an upstairs window.
The physical comedy and the way they set up lines and just knock them straight out of the park is, even if you don't understand French, reading the subtitles like we did.
Yeah.
You understand French.
I don't understand a lot of French.
Not a lot, but enough to correct my pronunciation.
Not a lot. I can try and correct your pronunciation, but not great.
The only words I ever remember is from culinary school. And it's just, the timing is perfect, and it is very much an era of that comedy, because I feel like comedy now doesn't let you boil. It is, everything is I'm just going to use French, culinary terms. It's blanching. Everything is blanching. It is boiling water, ice water. Like, instantly you get no time. There are no, like, the running gags. Like, people ignore the rule of three. And I feel like there's an era of comedy where they got lightning in a bottle and it is gone. Because and this is not being like going on the lines of like, well, if nothing's open, everything's open kind of material of, we don't let comedy be offensive unless it's being extremely offensive and then the wrong people enjoy it. I feel like the comedy in this is not harmless because it is talking a very difficult subject, which is ongoing, thank you. And I feel like the lineups of jokes really all hit. Because I feel like a lot of comedy movies where you're like, that joke didn't hit, like, that is not aged well. Yeah,
I don't feel like either of these have aged badly at all. I think they work, like, perfectly.
And they're really well written, and they're an enjoyable watch.
Actually, there are moments of the French one that I don't like from that aspect.
Go on.
Because it feels more mean-spirited. And this is, I think I was getting to this earlier and then we went on a different track. That, like, what actually makes the Birdcage work really well is how human it makes the characters.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what character you latch onto in the Birdcage, you will feel for them. Yeah. Even the son less so, but like even him, there's like a bit of it. But like in the French one, like I feel like Renato often comes across like he really doesn't like Albin, and I think he does hit him at the beginning, or at least it's heavily implied that he like punches him when asked to, but still does it. And there's more of a toxic dynamic there, whereas in the Birdcage, when they do that same scene, he's like, oh, don't you want to hit me? And he's just like, and obviously does not want to hit him. But like there's moments in aux Folles where you're looking at it going, oh, like there's more of a toxicity in that relationship, whereas in the Birdcage it's very much that Albert is very dramatic.
Yeah.
And it's going to be dramatic, even though Armand clearly loves him, and Albert clearly loves Armand, and that they've been, in love for decades.
And Yeah, their relationship's very interesting because the performer character is a performer and is not something they can turn off and on.
Yeah.
And that is showed in the scene where they are like taught to butch up.
Yeah, it's
and
so
the
fun.
comedy in that scene, the physical comedy is great.
Yeah.
I think the toast was done better in the French one because they're just it is the most unbelievably dry toast.
Yeah.
And it is just exploding one after the other, and that
just
very scream. And like Nathan Lane nails the character.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I feel like the French version, everything is just not like 211 because that's too extreme. I feel like there's just a little bit more dramatices to the performance, but in a way that doesn't protract, because you tend to get like if someone's trying to outstage everybody on stage with them, it's kind of like yeah.
And I think the French one veers into that sometimes, especially at the ending where they're at the wedding.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's just him making it all about himself again and just like screaming, and I'm like, oh, okay. Whereas like, I mean, Albert in the Birdcage does do a little bit of that, but he just like, cries loudly. He's not like launching into like, oh, if the mother's here, I can't be here. You know, like it's not all about him. I think that Nathan Lane really brings something really special to that role.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he got it because he was not in it originally. It was Steve Martin was playing Armand, and Robin Williams was playing Albert.
No.
And then Steve Martin dropped out to do something else, and Robin Williams had just done Mrs. Doubtfire, so said, "Hey, actually, I don't want to be in drag again.
Yeah.
Can I play Armand?"
The casting, like, they would have put their foot in their own mouth if they'd done it that way.
I think they could do it, but I don't think it would be the gem that it is. I think Nathan Lane makes it.
Yeah. I also think that Robin Williams is perfect casting for the character he played.
Yeah.
Because, like, you look at the French movie and you're like, oh, that is just French Robin Williams.
Well, Italian.
Yeah.
And I can tell you my trivia now if you want about him. I don't have a lot of trivia, but I do have some trivia about that guy. His name is Ugo Tognazzi or Tognazzi, I think. And he refused to speak any of his lines in French. So he spoke all of his lines in Italian. So the director eventually had to just let him record his lines in Italian and then change the French dialogue to try and match what this guy's mouth looked like it was saying, and then redub it with a French actor. I thought you'd appreciate that, someone being like, I'll do your French film, but I'm absolutely not speaking
doing any French.
Yeah, so he was like, no, we're doing it in Italian. And then they had to dub, so they had to then change the lines to make it. That was the thing that I said in the middle of it. I was like, oh, I've just seen some trivia I can't unsee. Because then every time this guy was talking, it was like, he's not saying any of this. She's like, oh my goodness. Anyway.
That's fun.
But yeah, Robin Williams really does match his kind of energy for the most part. But I think Nathan Lane is not very much the same as the French actor playing Alban. I think that I think he really makes the character his own in a way that, like I said, it humanizes him. Like, you don't feel, like, I feel like in the French one, and it's a comedy, and it's supposed to be a comedy, I feel like Alban is very much a caricature, and he's something to laugh at. Yeah. Right? And the whole way through. And even, the as we discussed, the son is kind of a dick. For treating him the way he does, but like in the French one, it's really played for laughs. But in the Birdcage with Nathan Lane, like, you feel so bad for Albert.
Yeah, that's like the key point that holds both these movies. It is very much like that relationship, the nightclub, their weird manservant, they're
yeah,
like...
looks like they've just got, like, gay male maids.
Yeah. It is a very, like, they are thriving by themselves.
Yeah.
And it is very much like the return of the prodigal son, but in the worst way possible, who's like, oh yeah, by the way, I've made all these like life decisions. Hey, you raised me your entire life, but I'm going to, you know, lie, and, you know, it's...
Disown you, essentially.
Yeah, you just basically have to lie about your entire lifestyle, lie about your entire relationship, so I can marry this person. Let me change everything about you and your, you know, the place you live in. It's... disgusting's the wrong word. It is very selfish. And both the characters, like the... I don't know if it's because of the era that's set in. It's not excusable in either way.
No.
Yeah, it's the son is the worst.
And the real kicker for it is that in both movies, so they set it up when the son is arriving. They set it up like it's an affair.
Yeah.
They do it way more in the French one. They kind of tone it down in the remake. But it's,
because it's almost like they left you guessing as the audience.
Yeah.
For way longer
in the French one, where Albon or Albert has gone on stage, and then Renato or Armand has sent, you know, the maid home for the day and has got like wine out and is having like a romantic drink with this young man who comes in, and he's like, oh, you've gotten really handsome, and and then it turns out it's his son, and that he had wanted to meet him alone to tell him that he wants to get married. And in both cases then the son is asleep when the partner comes back from stage and is like, oh my god, you are seeing someone, and he's like, no, it's my son, and he's in bed. And he's just like, oh, and the next morning he gets up early, goes out to the market, he's like glowing, he's speaking to like everyone, and he's like, the boy has come home, or he's like, my piglet is home, and he goes and gets him a cake that says like, from your auntie and welcome back and stuff. Like he's going out of his, and he's like ordering stuff in, and he's buying stuff, and he's just so happy that their son that he's helped to raise for 20 years has come home to visit, even if it was a surprise and he didn't know about it, even if he doesn't know why he didn't know about it, he's like, oh, but that's fine because he's home, and I need to get back before he wakes up and have all this stuff ready, and there's just so much love in that, just like pure unconditional love from this parent, and then the son just wants them to just be gone from his life so that he can, woo this senator's daughter or politician's daughter.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. And then, you have the father character who's kind of torn, where at first he's like, absolutely not, I'm not sending him away. And then he's like, oh, but I love my son, I want to do this for my son. And you're right that they're not going to understand this, and they're not gonna, and there's no way we can make, my partner seem like anything other than what he is. So, comes around to the idea and helps to plan it, but then ultimately backs off and it's like, no, he wants to stay, so he gets to stay, And it's a really awkward position to put the dad in as well, in both cases. But, it's just really heartbreaking that you have this character that, has parented this child for their whole life and, has such deep love for them that, they want to go out of their way and do all this stuff and, get it all done before they wake up, so they wake up to, a cake.
A home.
And a home. Yeah, a home.
Because it's very much implied that he's been at boarding school, because he's at college.
Yeah.
And American colleges, you go live there.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, as we discussed in the previous French to English, well, it was New Zealand episode,
Yeah, we've managed to do 2 French movies this Pride Month.
Yeah.
Back-to-back French movies.
Yeah. It was very much like even if he was like living in boarding school, like they were at least together for at least 13 years. And you know, for a person who has grown up, it's not like it's new. It's not like, you know, when I went off to boarding school, you left my mum and then you're like with this guy and, you know, you were living a double life the entire time. None of that shit.
Yeah. He's never known his mother.
Yeah.
This is the first time he meets his mother in both films because the mother gets involved. And whereas Alban or Albert, he has known him his entire life.
Yeah. It's very, very toxic in that way. Yeah, the son's really irredeemable.
Yeah, I do like that in the Birdcage. So unless I'm misremembering this, in La Cage aux Folles at the end, when the dinner falls. So, in both movies, they involve the birth mother to get her to come.
Yeah.
But then she's running late, and then the partner, who's a drag queen, shows up in drag. Yeah. But like in the French movie, it's very much drag makeup. But in the Birdcage, like, he looks like he's made up to look like he's an actual woman. Shows up and is like, oh, I'm the mother. And then, you know, hilarity ensues. Yeah. But then eventually the birth mother shows up and introduces herself as the mother. And then everyone's like, wait, what's happening? And then the reveal is they say, you know, how many mothers does the boy have? And I believe in the French one, it's Renato, the father, who pulls the wig off and is like, one, this is my son's mother. Whereas I do appreciate that at the very least in the Birdcage they gave that line to Val. Yeah. Where he accepts Albert as his mother. And he's like, I have one, this is Albert, he's my mother. Also in both cases though, the pulling of the wig off is like, you're outing this person, but I guess it's, you know, it has to happen. But I do, I really appreciate that. Like, I think that was an important distinction to make, because in the original it's still very much that the son wants to keep up with the facade and it's falling apart. Whereas in the remake, in the Birdcage, he kind of accepts, like, actually what we're doing is hurting the person who did raise me.
I feel like the ultra-conservative family, Gene Hackman's portrayal is fantastic. As I mentioned earlier, but they just sort of gloss over, like, the whole thing, and they're just trying to, like, PR, like, how do we get, let's, you know, cover up with, like, a ultra-conservative traditional wedding to, like, hide the scandal. It's very... The stress of both of these situations, I feel like the physical aspects of it, the climbing of the ladder, the, you know, slamming phones, the technology differences, obviously, between the movies being made. I feel like the French one has the father in that situation is it's sort of funnier. I always find Gene Hackman, not hit and miss. I've never been a huge fan of any of the characters he's ever portrayed. And I don't feel like it's not Gene's fault. Yeah. I'm just not a person who'll be like, oh my god, Gene Hackman's in this movie, I gotta go watch it. Like, you know, I've probably watched, like, a lot of movies with Gene Hackman in it because he was very, very, very popular in an era of time where I used to watch a lot of movies. Yeah. You know, and he's a well portrayed actor, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, I don't feel like anything, I'm just, like, scrolling through right now, and I don't feel like anything really jumps out at me as being like, oh my god, you know, wow, this is not a Enemy of the State, but then again, I can't watch that anymore. So, yeah, he's good in that. I can't see anything else that I would... Oh yeah, I forgot he played frickin' Lex Luthor. You're not a Superman person. No. You're more of a... I don't know what you like.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
I just was sure you were going to say you're more of a Spider-Man person.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I don't know what you like.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't know what I'm like?
Yeah, sorry. I was like, my brain was like, Marvel, DC.
I like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
And...
Just give me pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've gone on from Gene Hackman into pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's how this podcast works. We stay on the train until the train gets derailed, the train of thought. I feel like the bowl sequence in the movie is very funny in both.
And works.
In
both cases.
In both cases. These men playing leapfrog.
There's Greek boys on these plates.
Yeah. It's a very... I feel like there's sort of like a moment in both these movies which I would like to refer to because it seems epic, the desecration of the church. Where, especially with like Robin Williams' character who's supposed to be Jewish as well.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing to add into that as well,
Yeah.
that this guy's, that the Republicans have these, like, it's got to be good Christian values or whatever, and he's like, their last name is Goldman, and they're Jewish, and they have to lie about even their name. Yeah.
Their moment of, like, destroying their home in a way where it removes themselves from it.
Yeah.
It's very brutalist in the Birdcage. It is very brutalist. It is very much like I don't know what... I've never been to Miami. I probably will never go. That... I don't know what the actual architecture is, because you look at the aesthetic of the building, you look at, like, I've played a lot of Miami Vice from GTA. It doesn't make me an expert on, like, the architecture of Miami, but I understand, like, it ends up very brutalist, like, plain walls, everything is concrete or plastered, but the other side, in the French version, it almost ends up like Gothic, because the chairs
that's
are
very
like,
French, though.
The chairs are massive. They are very... the way they put furniture into the room, everything is a statement piece. It makes it feel very empty and very, very cold, which is sort of that ultra-conservative, like, mindset of, like, everything has to be in its own little box.
Yeah.
And if it's outside of the box, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it is very portrayed. It's very funny that it's the drag queens that work in the club that are the ones who are, like, the architects of, like, just fucking up their house.
Yeah. I love it in the Birdcage where they bring in, like, a stag's head. They're like, why have you got that? And they're like, they have these everywhere.
Yeah.
These Republicans, this is what they have.
And he ends up going and trading it for, like, a giant crucifix.
Yeah. Which is fun because the crucifix is in the original.
And it is... I don't know if there was a very good prop master who made a replica of the one from the French film.
It's very close to it.
It's very close. And it is such a statement piece of, like, we were worried... Because Gene Hackman says it. He's like, we were worried that you're going to be, like, these upper-class elitists. Like, conservatives, which, like, aren't about, like traditional home values with, like, spending exorbitant amounts of money on art and things, and all they've gotten, like, central in the whole, like, the eyepiece, the piece that your eye is drawn to in your home is the crucifix. Yeah. And he's just standing there staring at it like, Christ and stuff. You're like, exactly, you're just being like, let's take this Jewish person and just be like, hey, look.
There's a moment, and I don't know if it's Robin Williams improvising or not, but there's a moment where he's, like, looking at it and he's like, hey, like, I know I'm, he's like, it'd be great if this all goes well. I mean, I'm Jewish, but, and then the son's like, oh, we told him your name is Coleman, not Goldman. And he's like, thank you. And I've just thought of, this not related to this, but I've just thought of something else that makes the son worse in the Birdcage than in the French one, which is the lie that the girl tells her parents. Yeah. in the French one, it's very much she's put on the spot and comes up with something.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Birdcage, it seems prepared.
Yeah.
Which makes you think her and Val came up with the cover story together. Now, in both cases, the two kids didn't expect the parents to be like, immediately, let's go meet them. You know, that's only happens because this thing happens where this other person dies in this, and shows their true colors. That then they're like, oh, we need to, speed up this process and have a big white wedding and everyone will, see that we have good values. But it still means that in the Birdcage, Val was always planning to lie and deceive and to not tell them about Albert at all. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, that is
so good.
It's
people would kill for a parent like Albert.
Yeah. People kill for having parents.
Yeah, true.
Mainly because their parents were killed.
Like Batman.
I was thinking about, geopolitical, but yes, Batman too.
Oh yeah, true. I was thinking about Batman.
As not a DC fan, and you were thinking about Batman.
You talk about someone killing people because their parents got killed, and I think Batman.
Fair enough. I always just think about the fact that they're the wrong colour and their country was on a place with oil.
Yeah.
It's very, like, every single beat in this movie is, like, really well done. There is not really any scenes that are unnecessary. Everything has, like, a payoff. And it is very rare that I say that about movies. Because a lot of dramas, a lot of, like, certain things are throwaways. And I find it a lot in action movies as well. And I feel like, because we're currently watching through Fast and the Furious, the whole franchise, because there's an 11th one coming.
Yeah, I mean...
No, sorry.
People who listen to the podcast will know that we fairly recently watched the first
Yeah,
Fast and
you
Furious.
watched it. I had it on DVD. I watched it when it came out.
Watched it for the podcast, like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And now we've just watched The Fate of the Furious. So next is Hobbs and Shaw, and then F9.
The only major difference between me and everybody else is I don't think my entire personality became about cars after watching it for the first time. The point I was trying to make, which was I'm trying to scramble back to, as a drowning man scrambles for air. What was I talking about before I mentioned Fast and Furious?
You were talking about the beats.
Oh, yeah. Like, in action movies, there are so many throwaway scenes that don't need to exist. They don't accomplish anything, and they're only there to be flashy and over the top.
Yeah.
And this has none of it. And I feel like early comedies from this sort of, like, not even, like... Because I feel like this is, like, stretching the era, but I feel like older comedies... Because I will go back to Airplane every single time I'm ever pressed them, like, show me the perfect comedy. It's friggin' Airplane. Even though, like, maybe it hasn't aged as well, and maybe it's, like, rose-tinted glasses on that, because there are some scenes in it that aren't there's a lot of violence against women, played off as comical effect. There's no dead air. Unlike this podcast when I'm scrambling for thoughts.
This is actually... I haven't taken down much in the way of trivia about The Birdcage, because The Birdcage is one of the very few films we've already covered on the podcast.
Yeah.
But one of the things I took down, I think, is very much on this topic. So Mike Nichols, who was the director and producer of this film, he was originally involved as a director of a 1983 Broadway adaptation of La Cage aux Folles, but was fired from the production. In 1994, he was talking to a friend of his, John Kelly, who was at the time the head of United Artists, who were the people, or the production company, who owned the rights to the original 1978 film.
Right.
And John Kelly said he asked Mike if there was anything that they owned that interested him as a director, and what Mike said to him was, you own a project that has one of the greatest comedy structures.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, and they got the rest of the rights, and he said, I know who I want to write it, and he called her, and she was like, absolutely. And like that, you know, he was recognizing, hey, this, you know, this play and this French film have just like this perfect comedy structure that I can adapt into being, you know, maintaining that structure and put it into like modern day USA and make this great film. So it was very much recognizing, like you said, that there's no missing beats, that it's all like, hey, the skeleton of this movie is like perfect as a comedy.
I feel like any movie that evolves from a stage play does really have that feel, because on stage there are no gratuitous like special effects action sequences or, you know, people showing off things.
Yeah. A good example of another film that we've covered in the podcast that I think is an incredible comedy that also started out as a stage play, Arsenic and Old Lace. Yeah. Impeccable.
And it's because of the way they've shot it as well. It really, like, not even an homage. It is very traditional. The way that the camera is, you are the audience watching this on stage. And it is a very well done adaptation of a stage play into a film. They use it a lot for the comedy and some of the sequences as well, which is like really fascinating and well done. The way that characters enter and exit off screen is very, very stage play-esque. It's thoroughly enjoyable to really, when the production, when the director, when the writer all sort of go, hey, look, this is what made the play, the original media good. Yeah. Let's use that rather than trying to ignore it. And I feel like a lot of modern production companies and directors are like, I'm going to ignore the source material because this is my vision. It's all about me. It's like, well, then go make your own unique shit. Yeah. Stop ruining
existing things.
The existing things. If you want to go do something, then be like, oh, this is an homage to this.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to whenever we do a 12 Angry Men episode. Because there's been so many adaptations of 12 Angry Men over the years. But it's very much, you know, it's very much a play structure. That it's all, you know, it's all set in one room because that works really well on a stage play. You don't need to change set. They're all just these guys in this one space. And it's interesting to look at how that's adapted for screen and what choices are made. You know,
there's a few movies that I've watched in the recent time where, as the audience, you feel far more involved than a lot of other movies. And one of them that stands out is The Birdman. Because like, as the audience, you don't feel like you're watching something. It feels like you're inside something.
Birdman is incredible.
And I think the last time I felt that in a movie was Tenet.
Oh yeah.
Which I own on Blu-ray somewhere, but I haven't rewatched.
Because that was the first film we saw in cinema after lockdown, right?
Yeah. Because it feels like you're along for the ride and you have no idea what's happening and you see all this crazy stuff. And obviously, like, I'm not going to spoil Tenet if you haven't seen it, but like, it was definitely like, that was another movie that really dragged me in as a participant in the movie. Because you're like, oh my god, that's how, you know, like, and I feel like, I think I probably touched on this on the criticism of why marketing sucks these days, and why marketing law really sucks for movie trailers. In regards to one of our previous episodes with the Spaceman and
Project Hail Mary.
You're going to tell me that hasn't come out yet?
No, it has. I thought there was more to that sentence.
No, it's just like, because the whole plot of the movie's ruined in the trailer. Yeah. And like, from reading the book, you're just like, oh my god, what the hell is happening? Yeah. And I feel like a lot of movies these days are just like, nah, I'm a new director, I've got a new vision, I'm going to take the source material and, meld it to be my own, ignoring the legacy that came with it, the fans that have grown up with it, and then criticize the fans when they don't like it.
Mm.
And I feel like that's where we're sitting in a, like, oh, if you hate it, that's because you're wrong. It's like, well, no, you just made garbage. You had every opportunity to make your own thing, but you chose to ruin.
You know, like, along those lines, what I really dislike is when, like, a series, either a TV series or like a series of movies, when people see the foreshadowing and guess what's coming, and then the writers go, oh, well, then I gotta make it not that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you mean? Like, if you're believing these, like, breadcrumbs, there needs to be a payoff.
Yeah.
And if you're like, oh, the audience are guessing it, I'm gonna just change the ending. It makes no sense. That really annoys me. But, like, if you do it well, you can throw in a red herring. You can be like, oh, they're gonna guess it too quickly, so let me lead them on this other path.
Yeah.
But then be like, haha, you were actually right all along. I think that's what Gravity Falls did.
Yeah.
People were guessing things like in season 1 that they were like, oh, I didn't think you'd pick up on these things so quickly, so let me give you some trails in a different direction, but, like, still give you this payoff at the end. Whereas if you just go like, oh no, they've guessed the ending already, I better change the ending, then it's like, well, then you've just ruined what you've created.
It's I've probably said this before on the podcast, but it just comes to mind quite often. It's also, there's a lot of pressure from studios. There's this mindset of, we're going to, it's the Netflix thing of, like, we have to make shows that people, like, you are forced, if you're making something on Netflix because of what the CEO wants, you are making a show people can understand the plot while not even watching the show. And that is where you look at the decline, the pressure, there is no excuse for Game of Thrones, Stranger Things. People had a lot of criticism for The Boys as well, and the way it ended. There are, you have that point of, like, cool. A lot of people were like, oh my god, it can't end. The ending was so bad. There must be another, like, special ending. And then, like, we're trying to, like, connect the dots with a bunch of crap that was in the background. It's like, the production company isn't this clever. Like, it was proved that they weren't this clever. You had that much time to make a show and you failed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons why it failed. You sign up with Disney on a Star Wars project while making another show. The production company is like, no, we're going to give you 2 more seasons. And they're like, no, we can wrap this up. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
And then get dropped by everybody and no one wants to work with you anymore because you're not the guys who made Game of Thrones. You're the guys who ruined Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
To the point where the original artist, George R.R. Martin, he's made a monster that he can't slay himself. Yeah. Even though the monster is his own creation. Yeah. Because 1 is writing process, and 2, he has to take everything that they ruined in the show, where he, like, departed the show when he was just like, this is where I'm written up to, you're now writing your own shit. And they're like, oh, cool, I know more than you. I'm going to write whatever the fuck I want to write. Yeah, it's. I feel like these movies were very, very, very on the point. There has been none of that deviation. It is very much like a fan making a remake, but showing homage by not changing things that didn't need to be changed. Yeah. And it's just really well done. And I'm just like, round of applause. Well done. You actually made a decent remake.
Yeah, and not just a decent remake, a really good film in its own right.
It feels like Hydrox and Oreo, which is the thing that I brought up in the beginning.
It's so crazy to know the Birdcage internet and then to watch this French film and go, oh, that's the Birdcage.
Yeah.
That's like shot for shot, beat for beat. That's the Birdcage. And I mean, obviously, you know, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane are very well known for improvisation, but like, there's clearly a lot where they've stuck to the script.
Yeah.
I do know. I don't think I took it down because I think I mentioned it last time that like Mike Nichols said to them, "Hey, we need to get at least one good take sticking to the script before you can do takes where you're improvising."
Yeah.
And now I imagine they did it around the scene around like acting like a man.
Yeah.
I reckon that was a lot of improvisation. Especially, you know, the bits with Orange and yeah, and the bit where they're like talking about football, and then he's like, "Did I say the wrong response?" And he's like, "I don't know, actually." It's great. Yeah, so I feel like all of that is them having a great time together.
Yeah.
But like, I think they did an incredible job acting. I think Mike Nichols did a great job directing these improvisational actors into like, hey, you can bring your improvisational comedy into this, but also this works so well as a stage play. This works so well as this French film. We need it to work this well in our adaptation of it. To like rein them in, to get them to make this incredible piece of cinema.
There is a thing I want to cover off, and I normally talk about it earlier, and you're just like, when you said that, something just like in my brain.
Yeah.
The cinematography in these movies, because very much it's leaning into the stage play thing.
Yeah.
It's very simple, but it is very impactful. Because of where the camera's framed, where like as the audience, where your eye has been drawn to, a lot of stuff can happen in the background where it doesn't take away from where you are as the audience. And I think there's a nice balance, and I definitely think it comes from the whole fact that this used to be a stage play of like, how do you frame scenes where you are trying to draw attention to certain things without moving the camera. And I feel like comedy does it the best. But it's definitely really well, the aspect of that is really, really well handled in this movie. And I feel like, movies, sorry.
Yeah.
I like any movie with mirror work that's done. Where you're like, I should have seen the camera in that. Like, how did I not see the camera in that? It always goes back to, I think the first time that sort of like that like concept really blew me away is ironically from Fatboy Slim's Weapon of Choice music video.
Oh, that's a great music video. I was thinking Contact, but that's a great music video. You know the scene in Contact I'm thinking of?
I have not seen Contact in a long time.
There's a fantastic shot in Contact where she's like running up. I think it's, again, I haven't seen it in a long time. I think her dad has collapsed and she's running to get medication from a cabinet, or I think that's what's happening. But it's like the camera is in front of this girl, like panning backwards as she's running towards it, up a stairs into the bathroom, reaching for the cabinet, and then it switches so that she pulls it open and you're on the other side of it, and it's like you've been in the mirror the whole time. I still don't know how they did it, but it's like fantastic piece of cinematography. But the Fatboy Slim music video is great.
Yeah.
Genuinely great.
I think you could cheat that these days. You could probably, like, if you wanted a like really low budget indie movie, because someone did it as like a PR stunt for Apple, which like made me sick to my stomach. You could probably get away with filming an entire movie on multiple phones these days.
Yeah. It's been done.
And a lot of those scenes you could quite easily cheat.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't in the past. I'm just throwing out a thought to any indie podcasters out there. I think it would be a very fun project to do. Of just like trying to film exclusively on phones.
Yeah.
Because you can put them in places where you'll be able to like shoot from multiple angles at once without like really disrupting a lot of stuff. I always thought about it with those tiny little cameras we saw advertised with that guy we used to watch. and we stopped watching because he was really critical, like really self-protective and critical to the comment section when he was buying those like tiny cameras, the ones that they put on the Tokyo Lens.
Yeah. I thought that's what you were talking about.
On like collars of pets and stuff. Because I think the quality comes out fine. Like if you're not like on the ultra wide, IMAX thing, I think you can get away with filming in like lower resolution.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially not spending some of those cameras these days are at like $100,000 per camera, and you need like 6 cameras per shot. That's crazy money.
Yeah,
that's like a small business investment.
You don't need that.
Yeah.
Your one camera should set up like a stage play.
Yeah.
It works.
Talking of what else works, this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, tooting my own horn there for some reason. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, especially one who may have not seen or has seen the Birdcage, or because it's one of those movies that sort of does the rotation of like, oh, have you seen this movie? Oh, you should watch this movie. And share it with a friend, and the easiest way to do that is to go to our website, ittakes2.co.nz, and get on the starter page, the new to the podcast page, and share that with somebody.
Yeah.
And you might also find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And
you may ask yourself,
how did I get here? Because you went to the link at ittakes2.co.
Because you went to ittakes2.co. And you may say to yourself, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. That's another Muppet cover as well. It's Muppets Love, a Muppet remake of Once in a Lifetime. Anyway, did you want to get into trivia?
Yeah, sure.
I've covered like half of it already because I didn't take down much. La Cage aux Folles, when it was released in 1978, ranked as the highest grossing foreign language film ever in the United States.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool, which probably explains why then it was getting Broadway productions and eventually an English remake or a US remake.
Like you want to narrow down a niche, like that's a niche.
Also, the original French play, it ran for 1,800 performances from 1973 to 1978 at the Théâtre de Palais Royal in Paris. In New York, the movie ran for over a year at the 68th Street Playhouse Cinema, and then also played in cinemas throughout the country in urban and rural areas. And it was the only film in that year to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Director, but not Best Picture. Isn't that interesting? For the Birdcage, the only other thing I took down was that Elaine May, who did the script adaptation, mostly the only things she changed about the plot were renaming the character of Renato to Armand Goldman, Albin to Albert, and adapting the plot line about the potential in-law characters, making them moral conservative Republicans, because at the time there was a lot of right-wing anti-LGBT sentiment in the news. Yeah. Ironically, that's happening right now as well. Oh, and speaking of which, time to get on my soapbox. Just because, so in New Zealand, June isn't Pride Month, but we do these episodes in June because it's Pride Month in a lot of other places. But if you are in New Zealand and you're listening to this the day that it releases, which will be the 30th of June, you have 2 days left to make a submission. There is a bill that has been proposed, and there are public submissions open until the 2nd of July, and that bill wants to, across all New Zealand legislation, define man and male as adult human male, and woman and female as adult human female, which will remove rights from trans people It will make things very confusing for people who are legally registered as non-binary in New Zealand. It will make, situations not great for New Zealanders who are abroad with passports and things that no longer match what they're considered as their gender or their, their sex in New Zealand. It also, there's another piece of New Zealand legislation that already exists that says that if adult is put into legislation without a clearly defined age, it means 20 and over. So it also removes abortion rights for people under the age of 20. Yep. Among other things, you can research into it. It's kind of being known as the definitions bill, but it's officially, I believe, the legislation definitions of man and woman bill. So I would say, if you are queer, if you know queer people, if you care about queer people, especially trans people, especially intersex people who have not been considered in this at all, please consider looking into it and making your submission, make your voice heard that we don't want this bill introduced. There is an organization and website called Qtopia who have a whole lot of information, a whole lot of resources, and also tips on writing a submission. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it really feels like this is the last swing from a government who doesn't get votes or support a minority, and they're trying to do as much damage to that minority as possible because they know they're not going to get re-elected. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's really horrible. I think what's happening is there is a particular right-wing party who have pushed this.
Yeah.
And the more major right-wing party, National, have supported it to this point because it's an election year and they want the voters of that other party to vote for them.
Yeah.
Because if they can swing some of their votes, they might have a better chance at staying in government. I, for one, not that we're a super political podcast, but I, for one, hope that they do not stay in government anyway. But also that this bill, gets a lot of submissions in opposition to it, and they realize, hey, it's really not worth pursuing this because actually this is going to do damage. Even if it's just for them going, it's going to do damage to our reputation if we implement it, which is the kind of selfish thing they probably will do. And it'll damage, one of the things I mentioned in my submission was that it will damage New Zealand's international reputation because we have quite a positive international reputation in terms of human rights in general, but in particular, women's rights, queer rights, trans rights, which are all, segments of human rights. And I think it would do... Yeah, I think that's... And it's sad that that's what I needed to put in there, but I feel like they're going to listen to that more than me saying, hey, you forgot about Takatapui. You're breaching the Treaty of Waitangi by...
I don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't care about that kind of stuff. So... Not to stay on my soapbox too long, but if you're in New Zealand in particular, you can submit from outside New Zealand, but particularly if you're in New Zealand, it doesn't take more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't need to write a big long thing. I did because I'm a nerd, but you don't need to write a big long thing. You just need to tell them in your own words. Don't use there are generators out there, but I would change them because if there's a lot of matching wording, they will count it as a single submission if a lot of people are just copy-pasting.
You can't copy-paste.
Yeah, copy-pasting or using AI, and you'll get anyway, that's me.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you join us next time. And we'll be right back if you haven't listened to this yet, and then you're moving on to the next episode. I don't know what you're doing. Have a happy day, night, weekday, workday, road trip.
Yeah, enjoy your road trip listening to our podcast. All right, goodbye.
Bye.